Okay, everyone. Welcome to tutorial 3, which is going to be on Massons, and the tab that says Masson Insight, and then all the kind of these tools here. Massons typically they're used for two purposes, and I've talked about this a little bit in tutorial A when I was kind of going over briefly on everything. But Massons can be used for two purposes. The main purpose that I use them for is to kind of create quick cubes, or kind of just like quick shapes that you can run, like solar analysis or wind analysis or an energy analysis on, which will be the later parts of this tutorial. The other option you could use them for, which is kind of like the second tool, what they're also used for when you get into the later stages of design, is they can be used to create like really crazy shapes, and then you can use these tools to assign like a wall to it, or a wall to it, or like a roof or a wall, and then like a floor. So those are kind of like two different things. You could also use a mass to create like an in-place mass to create your kiosk as well, or just say the different parts of your kiosk that you can export to, like say, the MakerBot to 3D print. The other way that I probably would suggest that you could also do parts of of your kiosk are the model in place function, which I used in the site analysis tutorial to do these surrounding buildings, and I'll show that. That's what I'm going to show in this video quickly. Before in the next video when I get into the actual masses, because I'm going to show like a model in place for your kiosk. The only thing is, when you do model in place, you won't actually be able to do an analysis on it. So that's kind of the downside to doing the model in place. So obviously, if you wanted to do an energy analysis on your kiosk, either with solar radiation, now you could do solar radiation if you did the model in place, but the other energy analysis you want to do, but you'd still be able to do wind and solar. So it's kind of up to you what you would want to do. I think for the kiosk, the energy analysis stuff isn't too important. The reason I'm showing this all now is because you could use it for your kiosk portions of your projects if you wanted to. But once we start in week 3 with the actual project, the main project, this is going to relate to that as well, because you're going to have to do quick energy analysis on different kind of concepts that you want. And it's easy to take your concepts, quick massing concepts, and then run energy analysis for them in different ways. So that's kind of like different options that I'm going to show here. And probably maybe like part either 3 or 4 of this one, I'm going to show how you can actually take a model that you've done in SketchUp and bring it into Revit so it's a mass, and you can run an energy analysis on it. Because you can only run energy analysis on building elements, but that's obviously more for like the later stages. But you use masses to run quick energy analysis. So what I want to show you now is the component model in place. And what this does is it basically lets you kind of create, like if I hover over this again and let you see the picture, it lets you create unique kind of objects. Like this in the picture, they're showing the desk. It's a curved desk. Obviously, if you go into the family folders and look at furniture, they don't have a desk like that, so they created this from themselves. So if you click on model in place, you have all these different categories that you can choose from. You can see here mass is a category, but if you click on that, it actually ends up being the same tools that you'll see in the next video for Masson Insight. So for this purpose, I'm just going to click on walls, and I'm just going to, obviously you probably want to name it something, but I'm not going to name it anything for this one. So what you do now is you have these 5 extrusion tools that you can use to kind of start to create extrusions, and you can hover over them and start to see maybe if it shows anything. Again, you can always press F1 for more information. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start to show you quickly. So I'm going to set, since I'm in 3D, I'm going to set the work plane, and I want my work plane to be the first floor. And I'm just going to do a quick extrusion of a cube. So now I want that, and I want that cube to go up 10 feet. So that's that cube, so there's the cube. And you're going to start to notice that this type of stuff, the reason I like to use this type of extrusion stuff, particularly for the later part of the semester. The later part of your designs, you need to use this type of extrusion tools for model in place to do, because it's a lot more specific with dimensions and everything like that. So that's why this may be good for your kiosk portion, but you do have to use masons for when you start your building to do your quick concepts, so you can do the energy analysis. So just keep in mind what I'm showing you here is probably more for when you're kind of doing unique components of your building. When you get to like the schematic design and you want to add like maybe like unique walls or something like that, or furniture, shading devices, this is what this is used for. And then, as I said, you could be used for your kiosk to kind of create the different parts so you can 3D print them. And then, the masons is what's needed to do quick energy analysis and solar analysis. So like, you can create a cube, you can create like a shape like this. Then I can do a void form and do a void extrusion. Then I can reset the plane, and you see here I have pick plane. I can pick a face of the cube that I've already drawn. And then, I can do like something like this, or actually let me go something like this. And then I'm going to say 10 feet and see which direction that goes. So now you can see I just kind of I just did like a little bit of a slit in there. And then anything that I draw, like I can click on and I can pull it, any way that I want. Same thing for the void, I can pull the void up. So you can start to do different things like that. So this, and this takes kind of a little bit to play around. Obviously, I'm not going to go through every type of one here, because it can be a little, there's a lot to it. So these you can obviously use to start to do the different parts of your kiosk. And then there's like the sweep one. You can sweep things along a path. So you can see here I can sketch a path. So like what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the plane back to be the first floor. And I'm going to try to sketch a path. There we go. So now I have a path sketched. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to edit the profile, and the profile is now on this plane. So it's perpendicular to the path. So what you see is I'm just going to do like a quick profile of like an arc, or kind of maybe like a half circle or something like that. So I'm going to leave that as my so that's my profile. And now when I hit finish, this profile is going to get extruded along that path. So you see that that profile is now extruded. If I wanted to, I could use a void form, and say I wanted this chunk taken out. Hit OK, and now that chunk's gone. So that's kind of like what you can start to do with this model in place component, and that's why I like it so much better for later on when you're doing like if you have like a unique wall, or you want to do shading devices, or unique types of furniture. This is always good for that, and it could help you quickly create parts in your to your kiosk so you can 3D print them. Obviously, if you're good at SketchUp, you could also do quick probably parts in SketchUp as well. But this component model in place is something that's going to be very key in your use of Revit, because there's going to be some things that obviously there's not families for, or that you can't just you just can't model. There's no family for it in Revit, period. So you have to do it this way, like angled walls. There's no way to actually take this wall right here and make it angled. So you'd have to you'd have to model it in place. So yeah, that's kind of the model in place function. As I said, I'm not going to go through. If I go back into that, I'm not going to show all of them. I mean, sweep blend. It's kind of like blend. So blend basically, it takes two profiles, you sketch a path, and then it combines the two. So you can see here what they did is they have they have like a rectangle on the bottom, they have a circle on the top, and then the profile, whatever distance they set that to be for the profile, it blends them together. Obviously, revolve, you revolve it around something. So to create like a circle, and you can kind of see what it's doing there. Sweep I showed you, and then sweep blend basically takes the sweep and the blend functions and combines them into one, as you can see there. And then basically the void, when you click on void, it's the same 5 tools but as a void. So that's something that you can play around with. I was walking through a few studios on Wednesday, and I saw that a lot of your kind of kiosk models, because kiosks in general, they're pretty rectangular. They don't have any crazy shapes to them. You could probably get away with doing the whole thing with just the extrusion tool to extrude all the different parts of it, and you could probably do it that way. But I wanted to show that component model in place just in case any of you wanted to use Revit to quickly create your 3D parts, without doing them as an in-place mass, if you didn't want them doing that way. So the next video is when I'm going to start getting into the massing. That, as I mentioned, you could use for your parts in the kiosk. As I mentioned, as you're going to see, that it's a little harder to model with masses. That's why I kind of like to keep the massing simple when I use the massing tool. But you're going to need them to run energy analysis either on your kiosk if you wanted to. I'm not sure if they're actually requiring it or not. They may require at least a solar analysis on your kiosk. But again, you can use, if you do like a model in place with this, you can still do solar analysis, which I'll show. And then obviously, basically everything that I show on mass is going to relate to the first part of your project when you do the actual building.